Good morning, everybody. How you doing today? This is Mornings with Mark, episode 61. I hope you are set up for a phenomenal and fantastic Friday, the 1st of June. The last few episodes, we've been talking about the role of cybersecurity, the challenge around that term, cybersecurity, and what I wanted to pick up in today's episode was addressing the discussion that came up when I said the ship has sailed on cybersecurity as a term. That's what we're going to have to use, even though we're better off using the term information security. And this was a phenomenal discussion, and I appreciate everyone who participated, and I wanted to push this sort of to the next level. So there's a couple things, and the first I want to address is the actual name itself, and thus the title of episode 61 here, What's in a Name? I do a lot of media relations, a lot of engagements with journalists, a lot of public speaking, a lot of external communications. And I will say this, regardless of accuracy, once a name or a term is out there and caught up and pushed into the popular vernacular, it's done. It's going to take too long, too much effort to try to change it with very little hope of success. You need to look no further than the term hacker. When I first started, it was a positive term. When you were a hacker, you were someone who looked at how things worked, you were trying to create new things, you were pulling them down in order to see how they ticked, in order to make them better or to make new, unique, creative ideas. It was entirely a positive experience, yet over the years, hacker has morphed into what we used to call cracker, which is somebody who breaks into systems, right? And we had freakers and crackers, and they turned into hackers now. And that ship has sailed. That is a term. Hacker is a cyber criminal. We are not getting back the original use of that term. Very much like cyber security. Anything related to security that touches a digital system is cyber security from here on out. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. That is the reality. We cannot change that. It's just how it is, unfortunately. So we need to deal with that reality. Now, the first time I put this out a couple episodes ago, and we talked about the genesis and looking at information security and how that would help you remember that it wasn't just information sitting in digital systems, but also in physical systems and in biological and in people's brains as well, and treating that information overall as something you need to protect through process, through people, as well as products. And a couple people raised some interesting, not objections, but kind of clarifications. Some people were talking about, what about the infrastructure? What about the infrastructure that supports this stuff? Well, I think information security still covers that as far as a concept, because when you talk about the information you're trying to protect, you need to then delve into the system, into the security of every system, process, and person that touches that information. So by focusing on what you're trying to protect, the environments and the processes and the people that touch that data, that information, all fall under the same scope. So I think it's possible that they all fall under information security, even though we're still going to call it cybersecurity. And then another objection that came up that I think is entirely valid is that you can't do information security without information management and understanding what you're protecting. I 100% agree. Now, it was termed differently in one of the discussions, and I took some issue with how it was termed, but I think the point still stands. And kudos to the person who made this point, and I'll put the link to the conversation below and tweet that out at MarkNCA so everybody can participate. But absolutely, the huge failing when it comes to cybersecurity is not understanding what you're trying to protect. And this is sort of the core of that failed definition, the core of the challenges we face. As we say, we're doing cybersecurity, I'm going to lock that server down, I'm going to make sure there's no bugs in my code, this kind of thing, but you don't evaluate the value of the information and data that you're protecting. We talked at length last week about GDPR. That is a regulatory attempt to make sure that people value the data and information that they are storing so they apply appropriate controls. But most organizations fall flat on their face when it comes to information management. There's a really quick and easy test. Just go around and ask the folks on your team, what's the most important piece of information or category of information that your organization has? Most folks aren't going to be able to answer that accurately. And you need to be able to do that in order to defend that information. And of course, there's rarely one easy answer, but you need to have an idea of, okay, as a company that makes a digital product, here's the hierarchy of what's important to us. Our infrastructure code and source code is the top thing, because without that, we don't have a business. So we need to protect that at all costs. Then you kind of pull down and go, well, we have personal information, we have financial information, we have user information, all this stuff at a hierarchy. But it's very top. Source code and infrastructure code is something that's often overlooked. Look at the amount of developers walking around with the entire business sitting on their laptop. A laptop they cross borders with, a laptop they bring to public spaces and conferences, with very little operational security around it. That is a fantastically horrible example of a failure to understand the information that you're protecting. So what's in a name? A lot. Unfortunately, we can't change the name. We're stuck with cybersecurity because it's out there. That ship has sailed. It is beyond our community's reach because now we are very much in the public face. So we're calling it cybersecurity. It's what we have to go with. What we need to understand internally is that it's really information security, and that means every process, system, or product and person that touches that information falls under the scope of making sure that the security is adequate for the information. You cannot do that without understanding the information, the value of that information to your organization, and the risk appetite of the organization around that information. So when I say risk appetite, I mean it very, very literally, very simply. Well, not literally, because you don't eat risk, even though if you've been bitten by it, you'll probably feel differently, though of course that's a whole bunch of mixed metaphors, but it's Friday, so cut me some slack. So by risk appetite, what I mean simply is understanding the value of the information and what you're willing to trade off in order to push forward. So go back to that source code example. A lot of companies want developers to have access to the full tree. They don't want to apply fine-grained permissions within the source code because they feel that will slow down development. That's normally a fair trade-off. But to implicitly accept the fact that they're taking it across border or back and forth into public spaces and home, that might not be something you're comfortable with. That might be beyond your risk appetite. So you need to understand all the people, process, and products or systems that touch the information. More importantly, you have to understand the value of that information to the organization and the appetite for risk tolerance when dealing with that information. I think that is what our job is, because the goal of all of this, the goal of cybersecurity, because that's unfortunately what we have to call it, is to make sure that all of your systems work as intended and only as intended. And those systems are not just cyber, they're not just digital, that's people and process as well. I hope you're set up for a fantastic Friday and a great weekend. Enjoy talking to you and keeping this conversation going. Again, this content fuels this show. Hit me up online at MarkNCA in the comments down below if you're seeing this online, or as always by email, me at MarkNCA. I will talk to you on Monday.